6, joined by Mr. Buddy Shelton, Ben Watts, and the player we get to talk to this morning, QB1, safety one for Pleasant Grove, Akari Johnson. Akari, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great.
Well, that is good to hear. You've got homecoming week
Yes.
that you've been getting prepared for. One of the questions I always ask players and coaches during homecoming week, how are you able to keep the distractions from getting into the game plan in your preparation?
I mean, I don't let it really get to me. I mean, I'm just focused on the game on Friday night. I mean, the homecoming stuff for me is like on the weekend. I really don't be participating too much in all the events and all that. But, like, I'll go to homecoming, like, after the game. So I'm just locked in on Friday night.
Well, coming into the Paris game, I believe you hit 800 yards passing coming out of this past week's game, and I believe 9 touchdowns and 2 or 3, I guess 3 on the ground. So far, definitely would consider your season, from a personal standpoint of success. But tell us about the success that you've seen this Hawk team show so far this season.
I mean, we kind of got hit early with some adversity. I mean, we showed that we could fight through anything. I mean, we're just growing each week, and we're getting better each week. So, I mean, I feel like we're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Akari, something I wanted to ask you about. How is, y'all started last year probably, week 7, week 8, transitioning to the spread. How has that made us a better team, and how did the offense handle it?
We handled it really well. I mean, because we put a lot of stuff in, guys pick it up, and I think it's so good because, I mean, you got me at quarterback, a dual threat who can run and throw, and then you got so many athletes that could catch the ball and make plays, and in the backfield I can hand the ball off to, and they can go make plays. So it just works out really well because we got so many people.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so, Corey, I got to ask you this. Game day hype, homecoming. Really, I can't even just say hype because it's homecoming for Pleasant Grove, but it seems like it's a hype every week. Everybody wants to watch PG. Y'all rank for a reason, all that good stuff. I know you probably got some kind of superstition. What is it? Is it some kind of food? Do you eat a certain food? You listen to a certain song, eat certain music that day on game day? I mean, what is it?
Like you talking about just on game day?
Or anything just to get you focused and mind in the track of the game?
I mean, for music, I'll say it'd just be like whatever they're playing in the locker room. Or with Torian he'd be on the aux bumping, whatever.
Right.
But like for food, I mean, I go to Chipotle, chocolate smoothie, give me a smoothie before the game, and then from that point, I'm just locked in. I mean, that's just what I do every game day.
Right.
Well, you mentioned about all the different threats that the Pleasant Grove offense has that you have access to, and one of the ones that it seems over the last 5 or 6 years there ends up being this one special connection, a quarterback wide receiver that we've seen develop, and it's hard to argue that it's going to be Jackson Gibson for you this year. I know that y'all have grown up playing with each other for quite a while, but how do you get that connection with Jackson and that confidence to throw it to him?
I think it all started in 7-on-7 2 years ago. It's like nobody expects Jackson to go out there and route him up because of his size. But, like, the thing with him, he's so quick laterally, it's kind of hard to guard him, and he's just always open, always in the right spot whenever I look for him. So, I mean, that kind of just over the past 2 years, us playing 7-on-7, us going to the field and throwing at practice, I mean, that just built that connection, built our chemistry.
Yeah, I'm so glad that Texarkana Game Day has that replay on the games. I had my back turned to the screen last week, and I hear Jay say, Jackson Gibson, and then they do the replay, and I see the big throw to him and the catch that he made. So, yeah, y'all have really made a good little tandem this year. And if I was a team going to play you, it's definitely something that I'm going to have to watch and key on.
Now, something I want to mention about is the culture at Pleasant Grove. We're going on 7-8 years of being a top power in 4A. What sets it apart? What makes Pleasant Grove special?
I say the relationships we got with our teammates. I mean, because if you build a bond and you know each player individually, you'll want to play harder for him. It's just simple as that. Like, if you know that guy, you're going to give him your all because you know he's going to do the same for you.
Correct.
Well, one of the things that's continued to impress me is your talk of your team, and you definitely want to spread out some of the accolades that you're getting as a player to more of the team wins. I was accused and may have been a little more critical of the O-line the first week of play, but I do think warranted. But time and time again, you continue to give blessings to the O-line. And I will say they have improved drastically since week 1. How high can they get? What do you see in this O-line, and how much confidence do you have in them going forward?
Man, the sky's the limit for them guys. Like, if you go watch them in the weight room, like, all 5 of them, like, moving big weight. It's just like, if they translate that to the field, I don't think anybody can line up in front of us, like, off O-line, D-line, like, both groups. I just feel like, I trust them guys. I wouldn't trade them guys for nobody. And since the first game, like, I don't think I've got sacked yet. So throughout 3 games, like, 0 sacks, and then I love them for that.
How tight is the relationship with your center?
Caden Allen.
Yeah.
Since 7th grade. No, before 7th grade.
Right.
Since we were younger, like, we grew up at LE together, and then my 8th grade year, I came to PG, and then he ended up coming his 10th grade year. So, like, that bond has always been tight. Because when I was at LE, he actually played tight end for me. I used to throw him balls a lot.
Right,
and,
right.
We just always had that connection, that bond.
Yeah, so I can kind of relate to that a little bit. I was a center in high school, and me and my quarterback, we had a real tight bond. Because we actually switched to the spread my senior year, which was something that we had to do to be able to compete. But I was just wondering, I always thought it was pretty cool to have the center and the quarterback were always on a good tight bond.
Yeah.
So you're going to be facing an offense that you're familiar with. Paris is going to come in and run a wing T variation. I don't expect to see a lot of passing out of it, but they can lull those safeties to sleep and lull those cornerbacks to sleep and be able to tag you downfield. What have you done to prepare defensive-wise for this Paris offense?
Well, actually, Paris changed their offense. They're
Okay.
in the spread now. They got a big back, and then they got a quarterback that can run it pretty good. We can't come in this game sleeping on Paris because they beat us 2 years ago on varsity. And then my freshman year, that was the closest game that we had, and the quarterback that they got now ran all over us. So
Is that Hohenberger?
Yes.
He's the coach's son, so his football acumen is definitely going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
So what are you going to be looking at? Because that's definitely something I've missed, that they've moved to the spread. So what are y'all looking at to key off of against this Paris offense?
Stop the run. That's the main thing. That's what we need to improve on, like, for any team. Stopping the run, because I feel like we got some of the best secondary. Like, I don't think nobody can really just throw on us, like, willingly. And Paris always got athletes, so we just got to come in and play our game, our brand of football.
Akari, one more thing here that I've got, and this one's near and dear to my heart. What made you choose to want to be an Arkansas Razorback?
Just the coaching staff, mostly, more than anything. Down to earth people, good guys. You go to those D1 colleges, you see nice facilities everywhere. So that wasn't a big thing for me. I'm not going after a logo. I'm going after people, building connections. Arkansas got so many connections, like, more than any other place.
Probably the best university there is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Much better than that school down there in Austin.
Ben, come on now.
See, until next year, we can all be friends.
Yeah.
And
I'm always going to be a fan. So no matter where you went, I followed. I like watching great athletes.
There's nothing wrong with going 6-6. 6-6 is not a bad year. You still get to make a bowl game.
But here's what's crazy to me is the last 5 or 6 years, Arkansas and Texas have been kind of on par, but it's really like the big brother playing down to the little brother's level.
I agree. I will give you this. I've grown up bleeding orange. I've chosen not to go to Fayetteville for a reason, because I wanted to be able to sort of think it was just a cruddy campus up there. I did travel for the Texas-Arkansas game a couple of years ago.
Who won that game?
Barely. I can't remember. I think it was canceled due to weather. But I was thoroughly impressed by the campus. I've been thoroughly impressed by the graduates that it's produced over the last few years because my oldest daughter's, 2 or 3 years out of college now, and just seeing what they're able to produce, I'm thoroughly impressed with Arkansas. Won't become a fan, but I'll definitely root. And I'm also one of those strange Texas fans. I want them to win because that way when Texas does beat them, it's just that much sweeter.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Well, also, Akari, your growth as a passer, everybody knew you could run the ball, but you've become an elite passer this year in East Texas. Who do you credit that for?
Vance Gibson, Coach Gibson's dad. I mean, he came in starting last year, like during the playoff time. I mean, just working with me every day. I mean, and this year he comes on Mondays, Tuesdays, and then on game day, he just showed me mechanics, things I need to know about being a quarterback, learning how to read a defense. I mean, just taking what the defense gives you. I mean, and since then, like, I've just been a better passer.
And he's been a spread guy his entire career, correct?
Oh, yes, sir.
I got, you spoke of adversity earlier, and y'all faced a little bit of it early in the season. Who's that person on your team that is the calm that will calm everybody back down, get everything back together? Is that you, or is it a group of you guys?
I mean, I feel like as a quarterback, it is my job to do that.
Right.
So I would say yes, it's me. Just get everybody head back on track. I mean, knowing we still got time on the clock, we can come back and we can make a play.
Right.
Did you know that you were going to throw that pass to Jackson when we got the stop against Brock?
Oh, yeah. He's always in the right spot at the right time. I just knew I was going to him.
Hey, they left too much time on the clock.
Well, one of the things that I like to see during the game, and I get to see during the game because I'm up there calling the game with game day, is we normally have a monitor in front of us, and I either see a very stoic look on your face, or you've got a smile from chin strap to chin strap going on. Tell us just about the fun that you have on the football field.
I say from last year to now, the game has slowed down so much. I feel like I got so much control over it. I mean, it'd be wrong for me to not go out there and enjoy it. Like, it's my senior year with my guys. I mean, I just got to have as much fun as possible, no matter the outcome.
Yep, it's fun, and you should enjoy it 100% with your seniors, especially. You've been with them for some of them since what, 7th grade?
Eighth grade.
Eighth grade. So, yeah, it's always great to go out and have fun and finish out with your guys.
Now, do you guys point to Carthage at all, or do you take it one game at a time?
I feel like we're kind of taking it one game at a time, just trying to get better each week. I mean, we kind of got a sneak peek at Carthage. I know it's 7-on-7. It ain't the same, but like,
We got them though.
We got them in 7-on-7. So I feel like the skill is there, but like up front, we're gonna have to win against Carthage because I mean last year they won up front, and we just gotta grow each week and come out and ball.
Well, I'm excited to see you be able to put it on Paris this week. I'm biased. I'll go ahead and say that. So I think it's going to be a PG win. But one of the things that we also talk about off camera a lot of times is it's more than just the paper and the stats. I mean, I can look at a team's stats after about 3 or 4 games and probably match them up pretty good. But it's those small competitions between actual O-line, wide receivers, DBs. So I'm excited to see what Pleasant Grove has, new. I know that y'all have probably been working on a few more wrinkles into the offense, so it's always interesting to see what Coach Gibson's going to pull out and they go from there. But we're going to take a quick break and come back with Players of the Week.
Life is busy, and we get it. The State Bank mobile app was designed to make banking more convenient for you. Check account activity, make transfers, pay bills, and manage your debit card in a snap. You can deposit checks from the convenience of your home or wherever life lands you. The State Bank app lets you organize your accounts, manage alerts, and easily email our customer service experts. Now that you have State Bank at your fingertips, you can spend more time doing what's important to you.
Your family, your bank, State Drink.
We're back after a great segment. Love always talking to the young men in the area and just being able to give them the exposure and experience of being able to talk in front of a camera. Ben, what are you looking at for this week, and then share with us the first player of the week?
This week, you want to just kind of see most of the teams are going to be finishing, their pre-district. A few of the schools will start district this week. You want to just kind of get through this week, get healthy. You don't see a lot of blockbuster matchups. We do have one on the Arkansas side. We'll talk about it later. But this is a week, just survive and advance, stay healthy to get into that meat of the schedule. And we'll start off with our players of the week. I'll start with Texarkana Friday Night Lights, and Jay will go with Texarkana Game Day. Players of the week on defense, we've got Tyquan Black of Texas High. He had 8 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. Pretty good numbers, and they were in a dogfight against Tyler Legacy. Greg London down at LE, he kind of had a coming out party. You really saw Greg London turning the corner in that first quarter and a half of Mount Pleasant before the weather got him, but he finished with 23 carries, 184 yards, and 3 touchdowns in a 36-14 win over the Atlanta Rabbits. And also, I think it's worth mentioning, we hadn't given one yet, but special teams player of the week, if we gave one, would be Franklin Delk of Texas High, who kicked the game winner.
Well, I was going to call y'all out, and I was going to call out Morgan for not doing that. Offensive, defense, Texarkana Game Day, same player. Offensively, we went a little different direction. We went with a QB1 that went perfect for the game, 13 for 13, 357 yards, 4 passing TDs, rush for a TD, and the graphic wasn't large enough to even add. He ran for a 2-point conversion too, but that's Hunter Parker out of Queen City.
That's quite a night.
Had a good night, and I alluded to last week that I thought London was going to start breaking out, and I think that teams can't sleep on Liberty Ilo being 1 and 2 because they're not a 1 and 2 team in my opinion.
Liberty Ilo's kind of, we'll get to their game, but Liberty Ilo's shown some really good things the last 2 weeks, and it's kind of what we thought they could have done early in the year. They come out flat a couple weeks, but sometimes when you got some new parts, it just takes a little bit to get that machine well oiled.
Right. And I want to go back to Franklin Delk from Texas High. So Friday, go back to a long time ago when we were in school. You go to school Friday morning. You're the backup kicker. You get told just before lunch period, it's all you tonight. So you go play, first half's going on, your team's behind, down 14-0. Offense goes down and scores. I think it's less than a minute to go. And then he kicks the ball off and makes a TD-saving tackle inside the 20-yard line. So the first half, he makes the play of the game to that point. And that's not enough. We got less than 10 seconds remaining in the game. Texas High offense and defense has been able to tie the game up. And this young man goes out there and kicks it right square down the middle. I think Billy Lavender during the call called him the golden leg. And, for me, that's the whole story is what makes the Franklin Delk story such a great one.
That
Just
he
the fact that he
ascended.
wasn't going to – he didn't think he was going to play.
So let me just kind of lay this out how I thought this looked to this young man. He gets told at lunch. First, he's all calm and having a good day at school. He's at lunch. He gets told, "You're the man. You're kicking for us tonight, and you're the dude." Well, then he's kind of like, "Oh." So it takes the calmness away, and just puts this kind of. Now I'm just thinking this. I don't know if this is true, but it just puts this kind of a weight on your shoulder. Hey, I got to carry my team tonight. I'm kicking. Extra points are big. Got to have them. Game starts. Probably just nerves all over the place. Goes out, makes the tackle you're talking about. I actually missed that. I didn't get to see that. But I did get to see the field goal at the end. There's no way I could have kicked that through there. I don't know what that young man did to calm his nerves. I don't know what his teammates said to him, but whatever happened, hey, the golden leg is right. Billy said he was a golden leg. It was the golden leg for that night.
Well, he's got the additional pressure, that we've not hit on yet is the starting quarterback goes down. Which changes the entire dynamic of the game.
Well, they were down 5 to 6 starters before the game even started, and then they lost 2 more during the game.
And that was Brandon. And
So as far as adversity and the ceiling for Texas High, they've handled it.
They rose to the occasion.
They have handled it. So as far as players of the week, kudos to all those that were being mentioned, and look forward to who we're gonna look at next week. So what do we have going on next?
Game of the week.
Game of the week. I believe we've got this one going on the other side of the state line.
Yep. Game of the week is going to be Magnolia at Arkansas High. Magnolia, they're going to be basically this is going to be old school versus new school. You got the Arkansas High spread versus the wishbone formation for Magnolia. They're going to hand it off. They're going to hand it off. They're going to hand it off, and they got a lot of athletes. Early, to start this year, you would have thought Magnolia been a clear favorite over Arkansas High, but the dynamics changed a little bit. Arkansas High has come out and just beat the brakes off 3 people. Magnolia goes to win last week in a game they should have won and gets beat 35-0. So Arkansas High, they can take a major step towards their goals by beating Magnolia tonight.
And this is the first conference game for them.
Absolutely, and Arkansas High is ranked number 9 in 5A. Parkview's ranked 1. So Arkansas High is the second highest ranked team in the state in 5A South, which that's saying a lot.
Yeah, after looking at everything, I really think that this, Arkansas High is coming into this on a big high, being 3-0, and this is going to set the tone for their run through district. So I really feel like Arkansas High is riding on this, be a good game. I think this is going to set the tone for their season.
Well, I think in order for Magnolia to have a chance, because of the offense that they run, it's going to be a possession game for them. They're going to have to slow down the game. If they don't have a 2-1 time of possession win against Arkansas High, and even then, that may not be enough.
If they come out and jump up 14-0, 17-0, they're not going to come back with that offense. Now, if they can keep it close and grind it, I think it's going to be a close game. This will definitely be far and away the best team Arkansas High has played all year. They've scored 144 points and given up, 10 points all year? And, it's going to be a little bit higher scoring game, I'd say in the 20s tonight, but Arkansas High pulls it out, I believe.
Yeah, and you mentioned the loss against Wynn. What concerns me for this Magnolia team is the Yellow Jackets had been giving up 31 points a game, and they kept them in a shutout.
They have been blown out 2 times.
So it's going to be interesting to see what Magnolia comes out at, and like you said, if they get down 2 scores or more, I think it's over.
Yeah. So Ben, just a quick question for you: how many times do you think Nate Walls goes deep?
I would say that they're going to throw it deep a lot because I think Telly Wells is going to be better than their secondary, and I think he's going to be able to get on that perimeter and get some separation.
Right.
And, and if they do that, then Magnolia's in a world of hurt because they can turn around and hand the ball off too. They got the freshman and Tony Noble, and let's see, the other kid they've got, I don't have him on here, Zephaniah Black. Zephaniah Black's another very capable running back at Arkansas High.
So you've got a close game, but Arkansas wins.
I think, I believe Arkansas High is probably a 10 to 14 point better team. But when you've won the way Arkansas High has, and you get into a game that is a possession or so, you've got to adjust and react to that. I do think they rise to the occasion, though.
Buddy, what about you?
So, I'm new to this Arkansas stuff, and Ben's really got me into it, and I've been reading a lot. I really think that Arkansas High pulls out a good one to start their district play, and this is going to set the tone for them to have a good season. I know they got some dogfights down the road. Ben kind of, is over time went over with me this Arkansas stuff and how they lay out. They definitely don't have a cakewalk of a district. So I really feel like they're going to set the tone tonight. get them a good W and press on through the season.
Halftime, I have it still a one-possession game between the two, but then I do think third, fourth quarter Arkansas
They pull away.
starts pulling away. And then as far as our next game that we're going to focus on, you've got Paris coming to Pleasant Grove.
Yes, sir. This comes, I was very surprised by the spread on this. They've got they've got Pleasant Grove as a 4-touchdown favorite from Pigskin Preps and Dave Campbell's. I think Paris is a little better than that. I do think that PG has too much star power and too many athletes. And, what Akari said, they're still transitioning from that, ground and pound to trying to throw the ball. And I believe we're going to be a little bit more of a well-oiled machine. I think PG wins by, 14 to 21 points.
I know you've been studying up.
Well, I like to watch Pleasant Grove, even though, I don't even like to bring up bad
Well,
stuff.
they used to get beat. Pleasant Grove used to wear him out so much back in the day. He's got all his bad
That's not
blood.
true.
I don't know about that.
That's not true. But
That's not the history I remember.
but I like to watch great athletes, and Pleasant Grove has got a stud of a lineup of great athletes. Just like Akari said when he was here, him and that connection Jackson Gibson have. It works every week. They seem to put it together. It works. They score some touchdowns. I think Pleasant Grove is just going to be too much for Paris, I just don't. I have to agree with Ben. I feel like it's going to be 14 to 21 separation.
I'm always concerned with the homecoming letdown, possibly the distractions that may occur. And there have been, pardon me, there have been some recent years where Pleasant Grove has come out a little slow homecoming week. And so I'm interested in seeing exactly, how Pleasant Grove is able to answer the bell because, drill team has their 40th anniversary. So there's going to be some,
I never knew. When I was a kid, I always wondered, why does my coach hate pep rallies and hate homecoming? He didn't like us participating in the games, and he definitely thought, hey, it's homecoming, hurry up and get it done, all that stuff. Well, now I'm on the other side of it, and I'm like, I kind of feel the same way.
Sure. Well, let's go to the next game. Oh, by the way, I have PG winning. So we'll go.
Oh, I never.
We'll go there.
We didn't argue that.
And next we'll go with a game that I also think is going to be one-sided, and that's going to be Paul Pewitt and Hooks. Another large spread, but once again, you have to play the game.
Absolutely. Hooks will probably win this game fairly easily. The main thing in this game is to get through, get the W, stay healthy so you're healthy, when your big games down the line come up in New Boston and Redwater and DeKalb. Hooks could have had some major problems early in the year, but they come out and they beat Harmony on a last-second drive with a backup quarterback converting a 4th and 12. That just goes to show what kind of program they've built at Hooks. Now, I don't want Buddy to get the big head down there, but Hooks has a legitimate chance to go play for state this year. And in that 3A and with 4A, all of them, a lot of Hooks needs some things to fall right where they're opposite of Dangerfield or they're opposite of Newton, that kind of stuff to kind of go down the line. But winning this game will get the ball started, and you'll see what Hooks is as it goes on. And Hooks has just got weapons all over the field. And, Morgan said this one time. Early in the year, he went out there and he saw Hooks in a 5-wide, and he was just so impressed with how they looked for a 3A school. He said it looked like a college practice.
Yeah.
So I can elaborate on that a little more. I know the boys. Boogie, of course, Boogie Johnson, he's a threat. Emmanuel Baird, who we call E-Man, he's a threat. Rod Bailey, he's a threat. I could keep going. Of course, everybody knows Keyshawn. Dontravius Coulter. I feel like I don't want anybody to think I left them out. We have weapons even our backup guys, are just as dangerous as our first set. Like you said, Ben, I feel like we win this game pretty handily. Big thing, get through it healthy. It's the first game of district, so everybody's going to be on their A game. So,
well, I think Ripken has his best game of the season. I think he's going to continue to grow and develop into that QB1 role for Hooks. And so, and then Keyshawn Wells is just going to continue to rack up yards and TDs for him.
Right.
And, I think the thing that I'm looking for over the next couple of weeks to really solidify, what we think about Hooks is just how much can that defense continue to improve week in, week out.
Hey, and that was, that's always been my concern. I always know, hey, we always got a stout offense, but just how good is our defense? And I tell you, our defense this year, it has impressed me week by week by week. And, I just think that the better we got every week, it's going to get to where, hey, nobody's going to be able to run the ball against us. And then our secondary just keeps getting better. And, I think that's what is going to push us down the road.
Something I want to mention here, kind of shift gears back to the Paul Pewitt side. This is a program that's 4 years removed from playing in Arlington and playing Gunner for the state championship. I actually attended that game. Last year, they didn't have a very good record, but they were averaging almost 50 points a game and slipped into the playoffs. This year, they've taken, seems like a major step back. They hadn't been as competitive in those losses. What's happened out in Omaha that has made Pewitt slip from where they once were?
So I'll say this: Cedric Dorsey is a great athletic director. He's a good football coach. I think they're down in numbers. I think they, I think they've lost a little bit of their size that they used to. They've had some size, offensive linemen, defensive linemen. I think they're down on that. And you just kind of put all that together, and
well, have they lost kids internally, or are they going to Dangerfield? Are they going to Mount Pleasant?
Well, I don't know the dynamic of that. That's a weird area of Texas right there. And even Morgan talked about that. Paul Pewitt stuck over there, then you got Dangerfield, and then Hugh Springs right down the road. It's just a weird area of Texas, and it definitely produces great football teams. I mean, the success that Paul Pewitt's had in the past, Dangerfield's past success and continued success. Hugh Springs has definitely had some years in there where they were great football teams. I think they're a little down this year too.
Hugh Springs has struggled mightily.
Right. So, but that area is not poor of great athletes. I just think that it's just a down couple of years for Paul Pewitt.
Gotcha.
Well, the next game that we're going to talk about is one of the teams that has come off a huge win over Atlanta this past week, and that's Liberty Islo, and they're facing Sulphur Springs at Liberty Islo. I think Sulphur Springs, if they are just looking at the record, they may get hit in the jaw.
They could. I think probably Sulphur Springs is a little bit better overall than LE in depth. LE definitely has much more star power, with Prevost and Jaden Coleman, Greg London, Cam Hadaway, W.T. Jones. They got more college-type kids. But Sulphur Springs, they're one season removed from being a 5A school. So, I do think this is going to be a good game. I believe that LE's believing. I believe LE's kind of clicking now, and they're kind of buying in. And, there's no doubt what kind of talent LE has. The only place LE's got a few problems is in the trenches, but they do have enough athletes. They can overcome that, and they can beat this bigger school. And that's going to be a big deal for their morale. They come out 2 weeks ago. Who knows if they'd have beat Mount Pleasant. But like we talked last week, it was kind of a travesty that got canceled. But even if LE goes in and loses a close game and they get their stars and their studs rolling, it's something to build on.
But getting this deep in the season, you can start looking at these commonalities that these teams play. Sulphur Springs got beat by Mount Pleasant.
Got beat by Mount Pleasant handily.
So that's what causes me to think that this game is definitely within, I think Dave Campbell's has it 7 points. I truly think this is going to be a one-possession game.
Oh, I do too.
And the one thing that I will challenge Liberty Allo fans to do, take yourself to the game and both neighbors. These young men need that support coming off a big win to Atlanta. The Liberty Allo home side needs to be packed out. And I think there's going to be some good things that come out of
Speaking
Liberty
of
Allo
that,
this week.
last year, we went over we played at LE last year. There were more Pleasant Grove fans at LE than there was LE. LE's got to get that community back in those seats.
Yeah.
Because they've got some special kids. You look at Jaden Coleman, and he kind of fell in your lap. He comes here from a 5A, which is an equivalent to a 6A school in Alabama. His coach is Patrick Nix, Bo Nix's dad. He comes from big boy football, and he's got over 25 offers right now. And plus, you got Prevo, you got all the other kids. You've got a great product to go watch and support.
Well, it's never been no doubt that Liberty Allo has always have athletes, and just putting it all together. I think they were a little slow putting it together at the first of the year. I think that they maybe had some kids in some different positions and playing them, not where they should be. But I think that they're headed in the right direction. Like you said, it's hard to not be a good team, with so many athletes just spread across the team. So, I haven't been to a Liberty Allo game, but I will tell you, this goes out to the fans. Like Jay said, grab your neighbors, grab whoever, grab a buddy at work, tell them, bring them out, support them kids. It's big to them when they see them stands full.
Yep.
And if I'm an LE fan, I'd be excited about this team. Really would. They got some dudes. Some of these kids on this team, they're not getting offered by UCA. They're getting offered by Oklahoma.
Right.
They've got big time players, and I feel. There was a moment there when they were 0-2 that I was like, the wheels might be coming off, and man, they answered the bell. You definitely still have to say LE is the 3 team in district play.
Right.
And with the suspect way that Gilmer has played, could LE sneak up and beat Gilmer?
Hey.
Of course, Gilmer could beat anybody, but I think Gilmer's got more questions than answers this year.
Right.
So LE's got a ton to play for.
Well, this is going to be a game that I'm constantly refreshing my phone on, and most likely will actually have the game on my phone while I'm watching the Pleasant Grove game.
So you're not calling the Pleasant Grove game?
No, I will be calling it, but it'll be where I can.
How
see
could
it.
you not listen? I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't even watch the Pleasant Grove game if I couldn't hear Jay up there talking. I probably wouldn't even watch it.
Now.
He kind of reminds me of Brett Musburger.
Hey,
Yeah, that's exactly who I look like and sound like up there. All right, next we're going to, speaking of SMAC, James Bowie and Smackover is going to be the next game that we're going to be looking at. So we're going to have a Texas team versus an Arkansas team. We've had quite a few, state playing state this year. So this is probably the last one, just what all conferences and district play starting out.
This is a big thing for Ben. Ben loves this. He loves the Texas-Arkansas mix. So, even earlier this week, I'm trying to talk to him about something about, I don't even remember. And he's like, but hey, James Bowie's playing Smackover, and last year, they had all this stuff. And I'm like, Ben, let's talk. I was talking about this, but he wants to refer back. He likes them Texas-Arkansas mix games. So.
Well, I think, down here, we really, to be honest, if any ADs want to listen to me, which they probably don't, we need to have more of this. Because it's to me, it's good for the communities. It gets a barometer of what Arkansas is versus Texas.
Well, it just continues to show that Texas football is better than Arkansas at all levels.
Well, I wouldn't say it all levels. but you do make a valid point, and that's one reason I did pick this game, because it's very interesting. Some people might look up there and say, why are they talking about James Bowie and who in the world is Smackover? Right. Many people are probably like, why did they pick that? Well, I picked this because Smackover in Arkansas has been a power. They've had some success. They're always a playoff team. They always make deep runs. They're 3A.
They're 3A. Okay.
They play with Falk, Gurdon, Prescott in that conference. James Bowie, 2A. They had a great year last year. But James Bowie's kind of been, they've always been hard fighters, but they've been up and down. Last year, James Bowie beat Smackover 42-8, and I'm talking about it probably could have been worse than that.
Now, was Smackover ranked last year?
At the time, I don't believe they were in the top 10, but they were in the top 15 because Arkansas does a little bit different. They'll rank 1 through 32 or however many's in the class, and they were in the top half of 3A, and you get we read on the board. A lot of people think, well, you're disrespecting Arkansas football. Well, we're not disrespecting them, but I mean, you got a 2A team in Texas that is a good program, but in the past years, you don't see James Bowie's name and say, oh, they're a power. Well, if you're in Arkansas, you see Smackover. That's a playoff team every year.
Right.
They've beat Prescott before. They've beat Prescott out for the conference championship. But James Bowie goes over there and puts a nod on their head, and it kind of gives you a barometer of the differences.
Well, if Smackover doesn't improve on what their season has yielded so far, it's going to be another one-score game against James Bowie. They're only scoring 1 touchdown a game, and what even scares me more going into this game for Smackover is they are giving up 35 points a game, and so this could be another,
And I'm telling you, hey, them James,
35-8, 45-8,
and James Bowie is coming off a loss.
Well, James Bowie's 2-2,
Right.
But you look at who they've lost to. They've lost to Overton, which
Should have been.
they should have beat them, but Overton's not a bad team. But then they have to play Honey Grove, who Honey Grove's probably better than Cooper, wouldn't you say?
No, sir. No, not even a chance.
I'm just picking at him. Actually,
I knew where you were going with that.
Honey Grove is definitely probably the second best team in that district.
Right.
But Honey Grove's is a very, very good team in Division I, 2A.
Well, I know. I reading the little chat deals and stuff like that. Hey, James Bowie, they're hungry. They're coming out for a win to get back in that W category. I mean, they'll be back.
And that's a senior-laden team. James Bowie's been circling, this year for a while, and they come out. And I believe they won 10 games last year.
Oh, they did.
They went three rounds deep. They're setting at 2-2, but there's nothing to be alarmed. They're going to go run that district. They're going to win tonight. I'd say James Bowie's going to be 7-3, 8-2, just like they were last year, and they're going to go to the playoffs. And as long as they can avoid Mart, they're going to have some success.
Yeah, that Mart boy.
Mart's a different animal. Mart and Timpson should be, here's the deal. If Mart and Timpson were in Arkansas, they'd be doing the multiplier and they'd be playing 5A ball.
Right. So, just to speak on Mart just a little bit, I get on the Google map and I'm like, where is Mart exactly? So I look it up and I'm like, man, this kind of in the middle of nowhere, Where do they get these athletes from? I have yet to figure that out. But whatever Mart's doing down there, whatever's in the water, probably need to bring some of that up here.
Now, one thing, before we get off this James Bowie deal, Queen City, who do they got this week?
Shouldn't ask a question you don't already know the answer to.
That one I don't.
I don't recall.
Well, anyway, Queen City, they're 3-1, but they really haven't played the meat of their schedule. I think Queen City, I want to give them a little shout out. They're someone we need to keep an eye on, and with who y'all gave Player of the Week to.
Well, and that's why I don't know who they're playing, is because as soon as I looked at it, I went ahead and chalked it up as a W.
No.
So I think that we're going to continue to have success out of our local area schools, and this has been interesting to me. Just the format that y'all have chosen to bring to the public, how the smaller schools that I'm starting to learn more and more about.
Correct.
And that's what I think is so great about this platform and Texarkana Game Day's platform, to be able to give exposure not only to the players but the teams and the communities, and once again just challenge those to get out there, even if you don't have a kid in the district or playing in the game or in one of the support groups.
What'd you look up?
So I looked up who Queen City's playing this week, and I feel like they're definitely going to have another W the way they're playing.
Who they got?
They're playing Elysian Fields.
That's right. That's right.
And so if you've been watching, any of the local other schools, Elysian Fields has been todally just getting dismantled by everybody they play.
they just haven't been the same since Chad Morris left.
Right. I don't think that they may have scored 20 points all year.
Well, Atlanta beat them 51-6.
Right. And then
It's amazing how teams just aren't able to follow up Chad Morris's success.
It's like
every team he's left, it's just disastrous right now.
It's like Chad Morris goes there, and it's like the Grim Reaper is coming soon.
Did he college level too? I think somewhere.
Yeah, I think he killed a program up there in the SEC.
Gotcha. Well, let's go and just talk about some of the things from last week's games. Do a little recap. PG's decisive win over Frisco. I'm still looking at that continued O-line growth. I'm excited to see that continue. What else?
Well, I want to talk about the PG game a little bit. Frisco, it's a great win. 5A team you just beat. Frisco Memorial, I think, is in year 5 of their program. They're still trying to figure it out. But what I want to say about Frisco Memorials, they got a Division I running back. He didn't get to play in the game, but their little quarterback McPherson, that dude, he's got some Division I offers. He is a stud. I want to say he ran for 289 yards. It was like he was out there by himself. And he could do it with his legs, and he did it with his arm a couple times.
In the last series of the game, his composure was the same as the first. He was beat. He was beat all night long, and still had some swagger back there, and was trying to give that Pleasant Grove defensive line all they wanted. Phenomenal athlete.
Also wanted to make mention, Walker Wright came in last week. He came in when it was still a game and throws a touchdown pass in the second quarter. Gets an interception. He goes out with a knee injury. There's been a better prognosis. He should be back soon, and just wanted to really kind of give Walker a shout-out because Walker's going to have to be the guy next year in 2024 for Pleasant Grove at quarterback. And he is a very, very good kid, and he's a very, very good athlete.
He helped. Pleasant Grove scored on their 8 first possessions.
Yeah. And he was part of that. And he got he got the pick on defense. And I'm just happy that his knee injury is not as severe as it looked him coming off the field.
Yeah, Chris Looney just said in a little chat that K-Mac knocked the soul out of him.
Oh, and they gave him a penalty. That was a clean hit.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the umpire or the referees felt sorry for that kid because he got hit so hard. They just gave him here, man.
And
man flag.
As a coach, you don't coach that out of somebody.
Right.
That play probably wasn't even discussed. Going back over another big win, Texas High, basically the backups, a big win over Tyler Legacy.
Yep.
Franklin Delk coming up big, and Reitner, sophomore quarterback, coming in for Potter. He did a phenomenal job too. So all good things going for Texas High.
T-High came in as a big favorite, but when Potter went out, it probably changed the dynamic. Reitner's got to come in and get his thing going on. You also got the other kids that are injured. Then you got the Delk situation. That's a really big win with all the things going against Texas High. And another thing I meant to mention last week and I forgot, but we talked about Legacy's kind of falling on hard times. But I don't know if you was watching a Texas and Alabama game. Do you know where the starting running back from Alabama played high school at?
I'm assuming there.
Tyler Legacy. So
A little talent there. Liberty Allo gets their first win.
Yep, LE went and got a big win over Atlanta, and it was a tight game early, but they dominated. The second half, and they just kind of outmuscled them, and I believe Peyton Harrison played.
Yeah. Well, I had my phone showing that game during the Pleasant Grove game, and it was right after, I guess, halftime started at Pleasant Grove, and I glanced down, and that's when Liberty Allo returned to opening, second half kickoff. Right. And so that was basically when the game started changing, and the Hogs continued to steamroll.
Yep. Well, they had a bye week last week.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. My bad.
I'll tell you a game you may not have wrote down I want to talk about. There's two teams that, they're 3-1. They're both 3A, one Arkansas, one Texas. That's Queen City and Falk. In all honesty, they really haven't played anybody that's really good, except for Falk. They played Mineral Springs, which we'll get to shortly. Mineral Springs is just a machine in 2A over there right now. They're just destroying people. But you got a big game this week with Falk, you know, and you got the Queen City. There was the Legion Fields. Falk wins 61-12 over Foreman last week. Foreman's not real stout, but Falk's kind of sneaking into that conversation of being ranked in our poll, as is Queen City.
Well, Falcons started sneaking on the radar last year, right?
They did.
I mean, there was
strong.
a big hype about them. You know, I remember last year, just all the, you know, newspapers, Facebook, stuff like that. People started mentioning Falk. You know,
They actually got in the poll 1 week.
right. So, I mean, apparently there's some good things going on over
And
there.
you look at it. I mean, to me, you know, and you never know week to week, but Falk clearly should be the 2 seed in that league behind Prescott, because Gurdon's not that good. Smackovers, they've taken a step back. You know, it's Falk's to go take.
You know, just real quick on Mineral Springs, or no, what is it?
I don't know
God dang!
what
You
level.
said it a while ago.
Queen City,
No, not Queen City. The other Arkansas team that's real good.
Mineral Springs.
Mineral Springs. Okay. So I did say it right. You know, they're just kind of in the middle of nowhere too. It's just kind of a middle of nowhere school right there, and they just kind of come out of nowhere with these athletes.
Yeah, well,
You know-
the Howard County's got, Derricks and Mineral Springs and Nashville in it. I think that Mineral probably, they've always been super, super good at most sports. Whether it be baseball, they'd always bring a baseball team down to Texarkana, and it'd be just Mineral Springs kids, and we'd beat them most of the time, but you knew you got played.
Right.
But they've got good athletes. Mineral Springs is one of the very few 2A schools in Arkansas with turf. They're actually right now in the process of building a new stadium.
Their basketball gym is nice.
Well, it's that SWEPCO money over there.
Oh, okay.
They get an absolute monumental
Big
amount of
tax
money.
breaks.
Yeah, and they're getting their turf refurbed. They got it 12 years ago, and they got new turf this year, and they're getting all new stands for next year. So I mean, Mineral Springs got a lot going on, and I mean they've got 3 or 4 kids that are going to play college ball. It may not be at Arkansas, but they got a linebacker at 6'2", 210. You
Right.
don't see that in 2A ball,
Right.
and that's the only team that has beaten Falk.
What other teams you have to recap from last week?
We got Prescott over Hope, a thriller. We had the Hope coaches in last week. They said they'd have Hope ready, and they did. They played them a great game. It went back and forth. They fell 41-38 in overtime. But Prescott, number 1 team in the state. Hope still trying to find themselves, but Hope still hoping to, get that 4 seed in the 5A South.
Yeah, I really enjoyed them last week. Both great coaches. And, that game kind of played out exactly like I thought it would, So they still have a great year ahead of them. They don't need to take that as, anything set back, just go with it.
And that's the good thing about this period of the football season. All your goals are still intact.
You got to find yourself. That's
You
what
know,
it's
Right.
for.
I mean, all your goals are still intact. Still, fighting for that placement, whether it be a district win or conference or a district championship or conference championship, or those that may feel overlooked. Sort of trying to put themselves into that number 2, number 3, playoff, contingent spot to make things happen for them.
Queen City got the big 62-0 win over Clarksville. And then another one I want to talk about is Dangerfield in Center. Center is in the district with Carthage. Probably going to be that 2 or 3 guy out of that district. But Dangerfield goes to Center, gets up 21-0, and something happened, and they lose 28-21. In the grand scheme, it's not that big a deal for Dangerfield. It's not going to affect them. They want to win the Harmony games and the Wascom games. But, that one had to sting for the Dangerfield Tigers. Knocked them out of the top 10 of 3A Division II.
Yeah, so, I was kind of keeping up with that game on my phone, and I thought, God, man, I didn't expect it, at first, like you said, I didn't expect it to be such a blowout. I thought it was going to end up being a blowout. Right. And then it's like Center just said, hey, we got to stop doing that and start doing this. And when they started doing that, it was it. And but that right there is not going to define Dangerfield's season.
No, I think Dangerfield
That
still
definitely is not.
has a good year.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, what type of closing thoughts do you have for this week, and what are you looking forward in this week's games?
Well, just like we said earlier, survive and advance this week. I want to kind of see, the district that Hooks is in, they're starting their district play. There's some interesting games there. Where's Redwater at this week?
New Boston.
Redwater, New Boston should be a good game. We get a lot of talk on the board about, this is a new Redwater.
Redwater won that game last year.
Hey, and you know what? We're going to find out right now.
Right.
This week, if Redwater or New Boston's, the third guy there.
Right.
Because, clearly I would have to say it'd be Hooks and DeKalb. Then you got Redwater and, New Boston fighting for 3. Early in the year, we was like, whoever wins the Paul Pewitt game is going to get that 4 seed with Redwater. But I think that's foregone that it's going to be that Redwater's, in theory, fighting for 3 with New Boston.
It's definitely going to be a good matchup for sure.
What else are you looking forward to this weekend?
Just like Ben said, a lot of us are starting our district play. Some of you guys are, finishing up your pre-district. Guys coming into the pre-district, you still want to get that W, but you also want to stay healthy and go into your district. I want our guys to start out, especially my guys, Hooks guys, I want them to start out with a good W to start district play. And I really feel confident about our guys, so we're good to go. But just for, kids go out, have fun. If you don't have a team, go find a local school and go watch some kids. They all put on a show.
I'll tell you, there's one more game I want to kind of make a mention of is Nashville goes to Arkadelphia. Nashville kind of, they're 4A, but they kind of fall under that Queen City Falk, category. They're 3-1. We don't know how good they are yet. The only loss they got is to Magnolia. They did beat Hope in a very close game. But if they can go to Arkadelphia and beat Arkadelphia, who went very, very deep in the playoffs last year, along with, Nashville went deep, if Queen City gets a win this week, Falk gets a win, and Nashville gets a win, you start seeing some separation that those 3 teams are going to be someone to be reckoned with come playoff time.
Right.
Well, we appreciate each of your time and appreciate Akari Johnson for joining us early on in this segment, and appreciate all those that have decided to catch a few minutes or so of the sideline, and look forward to some high school football and college football, and we'll see you next week.